Here's the recipe. 1 gram of yeast, 80 grams of rye flour, half a teaspoon of salt, 60 grams of yogurt and 80 milliliters of water. So this is to make the starter for the sourdough. Rye flour for making sourdough. Making my sourdough bread starter. So what we've got here, we've got yeast, Easy Bake, Allison's Easy Bake yeast, which I will need 1 gram, which I shall measure out using this measuring spoon supplied with my bread maker. 80 grams of rye flour. It's white, I don't know if that's going to make a difference. Half a teaspoon of salt, this is sea salt. 80 milliliters of water. It's tap water and it's been stood in a jug for a few hours so that it's at room temperature. 60 grams of yogurt. 60 grams of yogurt. I used Yo Valley Farm live yogurt. It was about just under half a carton, so I had to eat the other half, which is delicious. Okay, so let's mix them all together. 1 gram of yeast. Spoon. Flour in the water. I don't know if that's a good idea. Let's add a bit of salt to the flour. Whoops. The flour is just floating on the water. Mix it up a bit. Oh, that's mushy. There's a bit more. Let's put the yogurt in. Goo. Goo. I wonder if I should have let the yogurt warm up to room temperature. So I've mixed all the ingredients in the sourdough cup. Put the lid on the sourdough cup. Place the sourdough cup in the bread pan. Take the kneading blade out of the bread pan first. So there's a sourdough cup in the bread pan. Set the bread pan in the main unit. Plug the machine into the socket. Plug. Okay. Select menu 27. Six, 27, 24 hours. 24 hours. Press start and wait for 24 hours. So if you set it to the wrong setting, you're going to melt your cup. So you've got to make sure it's 27 and nothing else. That's what it says in the instructions. 24 hours later, and here's my starter, warm and bubbly, all bubbled up, and it smells yeasty. So here are my ingredients. We've got the starter, 320 grams of flour. In the recipe it says 320 grams of strong white bread flour. I haven't got any white bread flour, so I've substituted it with wholemeal bread flour. For wholemeal bread flour, the recipes that use the similar amount to the white bread flour recipes seem to use slightly more water. So because I'm using brown wholemeal flour instead of strong white flour, I've added a little water to the... So I've added 20 millilitres of water to the suggested 130 millilitres of water. So I've got my starter, 320 grams of wholemeal strong bread flour, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 a teaspoon of yeast, and 150 millilitres of water instead of 130. So the recipe says put the kneading blade into the bread pan. Okay, so I'll put the kneading blade into the bread pan. Let's get the bread pan out. Put the kneading blade into the bread pan. There we go. Kneading blade is in the bread pan. Tip in the sourdough starter. Here it goes. Gooey. Smells yeasty. So I scrape the rest of that out with a spoon. It smells sort of alcoholic. Right, the next instructions say we've got to put the ingredients in a certain order. And that order is strong bread flour, salt, dry yeast, then water. Okay, here goes. So I think the idea is to pour the water round the edge and have the yeast on top, as shown in the diagram. So pour the water round the flour, so like the yeast and the salt is on a dry floury island in the middle. Put the pan in the unit. Set the menu to 10. Should take 5 hours and press start. Ooh, so it started kneading. I've not seen it knead before. So that's what it looks like. It's gone on to rest now. That's good. Well, it doesn't look like it's worked to me. It doesn't look like it's risen. I think it's going to be very dense. So this is my first sourdough loaf. I'm not sure if it's risen much. I think maybe. It's not as big as the other loaves I've made in the bread machine, but I'm not using as much dough. I think it's probably doubled in size from when it was being kneaded. It's pretty solid. I think it might be quite dense, but I think sourdough maybe is supposed to be a bit denser. I'm not 100% sure. Now let's have a look. Oh, that's quite nice actually. Doesn't look too dense. Looks like it's looks edible. So let's have a slice. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. That's very tasty. Despite my misgivings, that's tasty, edible bread. I have been reading up on sourdough, and the bread maker method of making it takes a lot of shortcuts. Is a shortcut method of making sourdough bread. The other methods involve creating the sourdough starter by using flour and water and yeast that's present in the air and doing it over several days. So this is a This is a shortcut method. It works, but it'd be good to compare this bread machine sourdough with some that's made in the traditional way. So my next loaf of sourdough, I'm going to try and make it in the traditional way. But it's good, it's nice.